All right, so hello everyone and welcome back to Tech with Luther. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to store environment variable in Python using a library called Environs. All right, so this is a simple yet powerful practice that every developer should master. So what is an environment variable? An environment variable is a value stored outside your code that your application can read at runtime, right? So common examples are your database passwords, your API keys, secret tokens, debug flags, configuration settings, so on and so forth. So instead of hard coding sensitive values like this, in your Python file, we need to move them out of your code and store them in an environment. All right, so this approach will make your application more secure and easier to configure, and also easier to deploy in different environments like development, testing, and also production. All right, so let's take a look at a native way to how to save, an environment variable in a Windows PowerShell. First up is we need to open up a PowerShell right here, and I'm gonna show it to you here. So this is the code that you need to type down, and then afterwards you need to specify the name of the environment variable and then the value of it. And I'm gonna save it under my user profile. So it's now saved in my user profile, but my current PowerShell session does not automatically reload it. So I just need to close it here and then open it again, and then by this time it should have been reloaded. So how do you pull this environment variable from your PowerShell, right? So this is the code. So I'm now calling the domain name, and the value should appear here. So there you go. All right. Now how do we pull the value in our Python file, right? So here we just need to make use of the OS library. This is the native way on how to pull an environment variable from our Python. And then type down environ and then the name of the environment variable. And then we are storing it under the domain name here. And then afterwards, let's try to print the value of the domain name. All right, so we're pulling it properly. Now, I just wanted to show it to you, the data type of this variable. All right, so it's a string. So whenever you pull data from an environment variable, it's being saved as a string in your Python file or Python environment. All right, so how do we remove this from our system, right? So it's very simple. You just need to type down remove item. I'm gonna copy paste it here, and then afterwards the name of your environment variable, and that's it. All right, so what's the problem with this one? Actually, we don't have any problem, but the main issue, I think, it's that it's inconvenient, right? It's for local development. You have to keep setting environment variables manually, and it's hard to keep up with that, right? And take note that when you pull an environment variable in Python, they are all strings, right? So what if the true value of the environment variable is an integer in your Python code? So you need to convert it, and that's an additional step, right? And I think that's where the .env files and the tools like Environs come in, right? So what's Environs in Python? So it's a Python library for parsing environment variables. So if you want to make use of it, you just need to type down pip install environs in your command shells. And then afterwards, we need to create the .env file right here. And here, make sure that you include this in your git ignore file. We don't want to push this code in our Git repository. So instead of doing this bad practice, which is hard coding the credentials in our Python code, we're pulling all of these values in a separate file, which is a .env file. All right, so what I really like about this approach is that all of the environments that I have are in one file, right? So it's I would say it's portable, and you can easily add or remove variables. And more importantly, we don't need to deal with data type conversion because it's out of the box, and I'm going to show it to you here. Now, how do we make use of the environs and also the env file right here, right? So we need to import the package, the library that we're going to use, which is the environs, and then type down this code. So this code works as the environs will look for a .env file and read it, and then load it as an environment variable, right? And how do you make use of that, we just need to type down env that, and then the data type that we want, and then also after that the name of the environment variable here. So for example, for debug, it's just true or false. So I'm saying that this is not a string but actually Boolean. For port, I'm saying that this is an integer. And if you don't find the corresponding environment variable, just make use of this default value, right? All right, so in production, we don't actually use the .env files. Instead, environment variables are usually set through the the platform you're using. And the good part here is that your code stays the same. So whether you're deploying in production or local settings, there's no changes in that. And I think that's all for this video, and that's how you use your environs to manage your environment variables in Python project. I hope you learned something new today. If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notification. And if there's a topic you'd love to see covered, please drop a comment down below, and let's continue building this learning community together.